Hello and welcome back to Just Another Football Podcast. Back again after 2 weeks, and while you were away, the US men's national team had a dreadful international break. England had a dreadful international break. Ireland, Fergal, we were just talking then, you were at one of the games. How did you find Ireland's stint
Um,
away?
Ireland done so. Probably wasn't a great international break. Lost to Scotland in a tight game. And then just about got over the line against Armenia, which I was at.
Oh wow.
Was 2-0 up against Armenia, looking like really comfortable.
Mhm.
And then just complacency set in, switched off, and they scored 2 goals in, I think it was nearly 2 minutes. Really quickly, and then we won a penalty for a handball, which I thought was fair, but it's one of those ones that was like, it was lucky to get.
Yeah, a bit harsh, but it's okay to
Yeah,
give.
and then Robbie Brady scored the penalty, and it meant a lot to him because he hasn't been in the Irish team in a while, and
Aw.
so a celebration, like a lot of passion there, scoring the winner. So we avoided relegation.
Cool.
We just needed to draw to avoid relegation. So fingers crossed we get England in the next Nations League.
You took the words out of my mouth there. That should
Uh,
be interesting if that happens.
and Scotland are in the division above England now as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, they are.
They are, yeah.
They went up. Which I love. The thought of England getting relegated, I hadn't even come into my head. So I loved it. I was already on board with the Nations League, and now I love it even
Now it's
more.
even better.
The fact that Harry hates international football, doesn't really like the Nations League, and it's just not been great for England.
Yeah.
So I've thoroughly enjoyed that. And then the international break was good for the Chelsea players. Kai Havertz done well, Mason Mount done well.
Yeah.
But Ireland on the whole, I think the performances were good, but the results haven't been, which has been a common thread for Stephen Kenny. So it's now, he's basically had 2 campaigns where he hasn't been judged on results. That can't last.
But the results have been getting better though. Like he had I think the first campaign he had like 1 win and weren't scoring goals at all. So I guess it's growing pains of like, okay, now we're finding the next level of being able to actually create chances and score. But now it's about maybe controlling games. Is that fair?
Yeah, we done well against Scotland. Scored early enough. And then again with John Egan. And we're sort of sitting back on the counter attack. We weren't really trying to play out, but it wasn't like we were just hoofing balls up the pitch. They were we were playing 2 up top. So the Obafemi, who's been great for Ireland recently, was doing really good hold up play, and we were sort of getting in behind. It was clearly a decision made to not play it from the back and just hit the 2 strikers quite early and get us up the pitch, and it worked really well. Then in the second half, it was just Scotland came on to it. At that moment, I thought we lacked a bit of control. It's been who scored first? It was a penalty anyway for a handball was the winner, and it was Jack Hendry scored from a cross. I thought Egan maybe should have defended it better, but yeah, it was. On the whole, I think we're going in the right direction.
Cool.
But there's only so long you can go without getting results, and we're 3rd seed for the Euro qualifiers. So, and at the start, Stephen Kenny said he wanted to win the Nations League. So, it was we're below. The results aren't matching the ambition of even Stephen Kenny.
Let's get in there.
And it's getting there. But if we had to beat Scotland and not lost Armenia on the first game of the Nations League, you know, we'd be a second seed and avoiding France and England for the Euro qualifiers. Now we have the possibility of getting France or England in the Euro qualifiers, and making it a lot harder for ourselves. So we'll see how that goes. But
we'll see.
If we get through with an easy group, it's sort of like a double-edged sword. If we get a tough group, you know, the expectations are less on Stephen Kenny.
Yeah. But so less pressure.
If we get a group that's okay, then we're going to be expecting to qualify for the Euros. I personally think we should be qualifying for the Euros just for how many teams are in it. Like there's 20, but just biologically, 24 teams. It's basically half the teams in Europe qualify for the tournament.
To be fair, teams
so
like
you're
Macedonia
not in the top half of teams. Like, what does that say about Ireland? Like, we definitely should be at that level. And there's, I think this next campaign he'd be judged on results, and I think that's fair enough now because he has had a while.
Cool. Well, you've done better than the US anyway.
What was with the US?
Oh my god. Well, there's a worry that Greg Berhalter doesn't actually know his teams enough, or like the players on his team. So, for context as well, and this is something I learned recently, that Greg Berhalter was actually fired before from Hammarby because of the lack of attacking play. In this World Cup cycle, I think we had 0 shots on target total, I believe.
Oh, I think I did hear that, yeah.
No goals, of course. No, I think in total 6 or 7 shots. Players playing in the wrong positions and the wrong roles. Like, Weston McKennie was tasked with being Weston McKennie was being a playmaker, the main playmaker. We were playing a 4-3-3 in a team that starts Brendan Aronson, the main number 10 in the entirety of the United States of America. Having played there for Leeds and excelled there, in my opinion, my biased opinion anyway, as a number 10. And the other shocking thing is Jordan Pifak, who's the Union Berlin striker. At the time of the international break,
what's his name?
Jordan Pifak. Yeah, Pifak. Yeah, his name is Jordan Pifak. He used to be known as Jordan Sibachu, but then he wanted to change to Pifak. Stuff like that. I think Pifak is his mother's maiden name, something like that.
Okay.
But anyway, now he just writes Jordan at the back of his shirt, which I find pretty cool. He was left at home despite scoring 3 goals in 3 games for Union Berlin to start the season. And we are playing. We started Ricardo Pepi, who had after he was called up, he scored his first goal. He's at Groningen in the Netherlands, and he scored his first goal in 11 months at club level. After he got called up.
Are they the ones that play in green?
Yeah.
The Iron Robbins team, is it?
Yeah, that's the one. And after he was called up, he scored his first goal in 11 months. So we are taking him and leaving Pifak at home, and it's just a bit mind bending. And it hasn't done any favor. The kits are dreadful as well. So like the whole feel around the US men's national team is
I don't know how I feel about like the crest in the middle. Some of them I didn't mind the American one. One of them.
No, I do.
And then one of them was terrible.
I do. I'm gonna go on record now and say that there's a tweet that went out, and I just wholly agree that the U.S. men's national team first kit looks like a Walmart blank T-shirt that you can buy for $5 and customize for like a youth club team. The away kit, the blue one, looks like a tie-dye done by a 4-year-old. It's dreadful, and they're selling for $200 plus. It's just
and it hurts as well because the Mexico kits are unbelievable.
The Mexico kits are unreal, and some of the Nike kits are good as well. Like Nike have done an overall bad job.
Nike are so
but the Saudi Arabia kit is unreal. It's so
Yeah, I know.
it
I
looks
was like,
so
I was looking
cool.
at some kits for the World Cup I might get. I was tempted by Mexico, and then I was like looking at Saudi Arabia. Go, oh, that is nice, but I can't get a Saudi Arabia kit. But it is really
Yeah,
nice.
it's really cool. But
God damn
no,
sports washing.
but no, moving away from internationals a bit, and I just wanted to talk about the last week for a little bit, Fergal, because I'm sure you've seen the Twitter and our Twitter as well. I was involved in a like week-long charity stream for
Yes.
Cancer Research UK. And I just wanted to like give a shout out here to everyone that was involved. Malteser Falcon, who invited me on that, gave me the call up, and Jack the Koltov, who put everything together to make it work and spent in the middle. He works for Sports Interactive, and it's obviously a really busy time for them, and for him to be able to put up with organizing 20 streamers or something over a week, like we're live all of the time, so he's having to
Yeah.
like monitor everything and get things together. There's a lot more than we imagine that happens behind the scenes to let something like that happen, and we've managed to raise at the end something above £2,700, which is genuinely incredible. So just wanted to thank everyone for getting me involved. Thank everyone for the money that we've been able to raise in such difficult times, of course, in the UK. And the recent cost of living crisis. It's not easy to just give up some money you have out of pocket. But it was a great cause. It was a great event, and just delighted to have been involved. But on that note, let's move on to the weekend, because Liverpool, and it's not the highlight event of the weekend, because there was a Manchester derby that had 9 goals in it. But I really want to talk about Liverpool again. And we've mentioned their attacking problems, Salah not getting as many shots away, their work rate issues. And I was hoping this international window would be a kind of a reset. But no. We go 2-0 behind to Brighton, bring it back to 3-2, and then throw it away. And there's a different issue that I wanted to highlight here, apart from the goal scoring and chance creation. But first of all, did you see the game at all? Do you have any?
No, I saw. I haven't even seen all the goals. I saw. I think the 2 Trossard goals at the start.
Yeah,
Um.
they were carbon copies of each other. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Brighton again. So well run. Lose their great manager, and it looks like they've got another class manager in De Zerbi off
He's very
to a really good start. And to move Trossard further up the pitch and got a hat trick. So like, it's
yeah,
brilliant start for them, really.
First hat trick by an opposition at Anfield since 2012.
Wow.
Or 2011? 2011? Oh no, 2009. Arshavin, I think.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. According to my dad, so it's gonna be according to beIN Sports, because that's what beIN Sports Middle East. That's what he will be watching. So that's my source.
Your dad doesn't have like a big database or record book of hat tricks. I know.
No, he just started on the channel and told me about it, and we talked about it this morning. But no. So what De Zerbi does in general is he's really interesting, because his press is really, 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 really high. But in terms of the attacking side of his game, he invites pressure to a scary extent, all the way up to his own penalty box. So the problem now that we had is that we played right into De Zerbi's hands. And Jurgen Klopp mentioned like not being able to prepare enough for the game because it was De Zerbi's first game for Brighton, of course. But at least you can study what De Zerbi does and recognize that our pressing has not been not as good necessarily, because actually we're better pressing now in terms of a successful press. The success percentage of press has gone up by 6% since last season, but we're not pressing enough. attacking third pressures have gone down from last season, from 45 presses to 37. So that's a dramatic drop. Middle third pressures, that's gone down by about 6 or 7 as well. We're 15th in pressures at the middle third, and that's most of where the press happens really across the league. So we're not pressing as high as we do, but when we attempt to press, we are successful, but we don't do it enough. So what happens is, and that's what's not picked up by the stats, we go and step up as if we're gonna press, right? And then we don't. So the gaps appear. So that's exactly what De Zerbi does. He waits for gaps to appear because of players getting out of position, starting to press. And that just played right into his own hands. The first 2 goals were... And the third goal, I think, was a perfect example of that. But especially the first 2. I think it was a symbolic goal of Liverpool's problems was the third one, especially because of the way Trent was beaten down the left, and Jurgen Klopp's, rightfully so, he was trying to defend him from the, I guess, perception that he isn't a good defender. But right now he isn't.
Yeah, did you agree with that? I saw like you were, because I to be honest, I didn't. I was like, I think he's rewrote what people are having to go at Trent for.
Okay,
I don't think I like, because he was saying like everybody's giving off that he keeps getting called out at right back, but maybe people that don't understand football are saying that, but the main things I've seen are like the clips where someone just runs past him, or he lets the player go that he's meant to be marking.
Yeah,
those are the clips I've seen more of, rather than when a team switches it over his head to the left wing spot. But of course, he's more of an attacking player, so that space is going to be left open, especially when Jordan Henderson isn't playing as well and isn't in the team as much. That was a big role of his, was to cover for Trent. So I thought he was sort of like, it was a good attempt to spin the story on Trent. And then again, I think it was Trent's been showing up like poor header in a dangerous area for the second goal, loses it, and then goes on. So it's more about his individual errors and just switching off, rather than like stuff that it's clear he's just going through bad form and he should be able to fix. But for Trent, it's coming at a terrible time. Like, there's no way he's anywhere near that England squad. Southgate is too cautious of a manager to have Trent anywhere near the first team.
That's true. I think. Okay, so this is a complex issue because Trent of this season is bad. Like, we know that. The way I understood it is, I don't know what the question was, but the way I understood it is he's responding to the overall perception of Trent. And we know that this season's Trent is way off form, and it's not the Trent we know.
And you can forgive a player. I think it would have been more realistic if he had been like, look, Trent knows
we're
he's
all
not
off form.
We're all great. Off form. Yeah, he knows the standards dropped.
Yeah,
but we believe that he'll get back to where. I think that would have been maybe really you need to be careful how you word that sort of thing.
Yeah,
because then it goes into crisis mode or whatever. But I think addressing it like that would have been more honest. I just thought he sort of. I didn't hear the question, but he's basically commenting on the talk about Trent. I don't think he really addressed that.
Yeah, Klopp's not a diplomatic man. In terms of the
he'll back his place to the hill,
but in terms of whether or not, or I agree with it. In the context of the overall player Trent is, I do. I think he was addressing the because there was a perception before that Trent is just not a good defender, full stop, and that includes last season when we were our best version in a long time, since we won the Champions League, really. So I don't know. It's from that point of view, I agree with Klopp. From the point of view of this season, Trent's not putting a foot right. So it's and there's this other thing he didn't address, Jurgen Klopp, the fact that Trent is playing this inverted wingback thing and getting in a double pivot. It's something really similar to what Kyle Walker did at the start of the season, and he didn't do it today, which is really interesting. It's getting in way in field and getting into a double pivot with Fabinho, even at defending, and for some reason, or next to Jordan Henderson, I'm sorry, and for some reason that right hand side is just right center back and right full back positions are being covered by the same player, which is Joe Matip. And I just don't know what the thinking is, or if it's just players not carrying out instructions. I don't know. But Trent is dreadful right now. And it hurts. It hurts because
it's an awkward
we've
one,
written off the league already.
Yeah, I don't think it's awful for Liverpool that as long as they get top four, it's a rebuild season. They've been overperforming and losing someone like Mane. It is going to take at least a season to rework it and get up to City's level, and it doesn't help that City. I mean, nobody's near City. As we'll go on to talk about it.
You know what? We're gonna go ahead and talk about Man City after we've talked about Arsenal and their North London derby with Tottenham Hotspur. Harry's joining us next. Hi, Harry.
Hello. Good evening.
Did you get any tingling sensations this time from suddenly appearing in the
Maybe not tingling sensations from that, but at sort of 1:30 yesterday during the game, I can't say I didn't get a few tingling sensations.
What a transition.
Yeah. I know. Well, listen, mate, we're professionals here.
You've been host before for a long, long time.
Listen, mate, you'll get there one day, mate. You'll get there one day.
Yeah, man.
Tricks of the trade.
Okay. Talk to me.
What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Arsenal, Harry. I want to talk about Arsenal. Give me your thoughts on the game. There you go.
Yeah, I think the most important thing was to win, and we did that. I think we played pretty well but I would have taken any form of victory, I suppose is what I'm saying. I kind of and I might jinx us, but I've reached a stage where I know what to expect from our performance, and I'm pretty confident that we'll play well most games, and this one was kind of no different. The only thing was, could we sort of manage what they would do? Because I think that the way the game was going to go, you knew the way both teams would approach it. They would let us have the ball, we would take the ball, we'd take the territory, and it's a game both teams are comfortable playing, and you feel like you're on top and you're controlling it, but then you sort of in the back of your mind, you're thinking, obviously that's kind of where they want you as well. So, there's a little bit of trepidation there, and obviously going in at half-time 1-1, it's one of those that sort of could go either way. But I think we were really good in the second half, and it's kind of been a feature of our performances this season is we've started games well, and we've started second halves well, so started in both halves very fast. And, obviously the red card makes it easier to close the game out, but it was a really good effort in that first 15 minutes of the game, first 20 minutes of the game where we scored the opener, and then again in the first 15 minutes of the second half before the red card. Obviously comes from a mistake, the second goal, but you don't get those sort of breaks if you're not in the position to take advantage of it. And I suppose that's my overall takeaway away from this game is, yes, it was decided in moments. Spurs made mistakes. We scored, a worldie of an opening goal. But I just think, and I think going into this, it was always going to be contrasting styles, and it would become a referendum on which one is more effective, not just in this game, but kind of projecting on for the rest of the season. And I've always felt, and it's easy for me to sit there in this position now, having won the game, I think the way Spurs play demands a lot more perfection at both ends of the pitch. So they have to defend well, they can't make mistakes, and you're actually relying on the opposition not putting the ball in the top corner from 20 yards, which, let's be fair, they usually don't. It's a sort of, if you're playing a percentages game, you're much happier for them to maybe shoot from there than you are go to the byline, cut it back or whatever. But it can go in. That's football. Those shots can go in. Your keeper can make mistakes. So I suppose my point is that if those things completely derail your game plan, and they can happen, is your game plan flawed from the start? Now, they might argue no, because they finished last season well. They obviously got into the top 4. It's well documented. They had a good start to this season so far. So I just think it depends what side of the argument you come down on with Spurs. Has this result been coming, or is it just one of those days you're up against a good side and the moments went their way, kind of as they do with the home team in this fixture? It can happen, but I'm pleased with the way we approached the game. We didn't really adapt for Spurs. We did what we do and did it pretty well. There were, a couple of hairy moments on the counter-attack, as they usually are in Tottenham games. But very pleased with the win. We needed to do it, needed to get this monkey off our back, because we're sort of being criticised for not beating teams that we haven't yet played. It's like they haven't beaten any good teams. It's like, well, we've only played one, and we, on another day we could have beaten Man United. So we needed to win this. Yeah. And we did, so very pleased with that.
It was so important. That's a great point. It's so important for the context of Arsenal season, I think, and the way other teams in the league perceive them and the way fans perceive them, in terms of getting a win against a actual perceived title contender early on, Tottenham.
Definitely, us and Tottenham this season. I don't think we'll challenge the title. We can come on to that maybe, but we're in the same sort of space, us and Spurs. I don't think there'll be more than a couple of positions between us in the table either way. Yeah. So if you're looking at it as a head-to-head, we need to win that. You need to win your home games, especially. You can't lose them. That's if I'm being a realist, just don't lose. If you have to take a draw, take a draw. But if you can win, it's really important. And they fancied their chances. Don't get me wrong. I think that they were coming into the game thinking we haven't lost. We beat them to top 4 last season. I think they hadn't lost in something like that.
Well.
Yeah, Son coming into form at the right time. They hadn't lost in 13 games. I think Spurs, kind of dating back to the end of last season in the league. That is. So important win, and they're not a bad side. I'd love to sit here and just absolutely hammer them because I can't stand them, obviously. But you've got to give credit where credit's due. They've got a very... He's an expert in what he does, Conte, whatever you think of his football. And I think it kind of has its pros and its cons. But, that they're not going to give you an easy game. And that they've got match winners. And that's a dangerous task. You can see why they've given the likes of Man City and Liverpool, 2 exceptional sides of last season, a difficult game when they've played them.
Absolutely.
They didn't deserve a draw against Chelsea early this season, but they took a draw off them. You can see what they do. They stay in games and they back themselves when the moments come that they will take the chances. So, just important to win. Really, really important to win.
So Spurs, the whole the thing with Spurs is it really depends what way you're looking at the team as to what you think of them. Because what I mean by that is, a positive Spurs fans were saying, look, we're unbeaten, we're getting results, that's a sign of a good team, getting results, not playing well.
Yeah.
And they were only how many points off were they going into that?
They were 1 point off us and level with City.
1 point off. And they're Son hasn't been good yet.
Yeah. It's we've not even played well yet, but we've got these results.
There's this sort of thing we're not... Our potential is higher than Arsenal because of the top quality players in the team that haven't yet played their ability or perceived ability, and maybe they don't know their best 11 yet as well. So, but I'm a bit more confident about Spurs missing out. I do get that. Because I'm thinking Chelsea were struggling. We'll see how Graham Potter goes, but if Spurs do click into gear, Chelsea are going to be in trouble. But I don't like starting whenever Chelsea have played like that so many times where the performances haven't been great and you're getting over the line. But it's bad if you're starting a season like that.
It's just whether you think that's a good thing or not. Is it we're playing badly, so when we start playing well, we're going to be frightening? Or is it we're playing badly and we're getting lucky? And as soon as the luck runs out, we don't get the results, then we're going to be struggling. As you said, it depends what side of the argument you come down on.
It also depends what way Conte is speaking to the team about it. Is he saying... If I imagine he's demanding more, But like, if he's coming in after like the Chelsea result, going unbelievable lads to get a draw from the position you're in, but at the same time, like on another day, Chelsea would have hammered Spurs. And
I think and had you definitely could have, and had you, I think the perception around their performance yesterday would have been far different. If you assume the result ends up the same, and we've gone to Chelsea and been poor and lost, gone to Arsenal and been poor in our execution and lost, I think they'd be getting a lot more criticism than they probably have to this point in the season. Like, it's very bend, don't break stuff. Let the opposition have the ball. They'll get lots of shots. They're not going to get shots from great positions. They'll put crosses in, and then we'll hit them on the break. And we won't play well for a lot of the game, but when we do play well, we'll get chances and we'll take them. Look, I don't particularly rate the way they're trying to play. I think that as soon as the results stop coming, if they do, you're going to have difficulty convincing players to continue doing it. And I know that in 2022, Mourinho isn't as good a manager as Conte, but it's exactly the same sort of thing when it went very wrong very quickly for Mourinho. If you remember that season, they were top of the league.
Conte at Chelsea went very
wrong.
And
second season at Chelsea for Conte. But if you think back to Mourinho's second season at Spurs, they were top of the league, I think, in November or December. It was certainly like
Dele Alli was playing like out of his shell, and
they just went to pot.
They
completely went to pot, and he was sacked like 3 or 4 months later. As soon as the results stopped coming, I think the players gave up on him. Now, I'm not saying the same will definitely happen here, but it's a big like 6 weeks for Spurs now, because if they go into the World Cup with a few more poor results, and the problem with the manager as well is he's constantly getting linked with a move away. There's kind of this feeling that he's like on the edge, and I know he dismissed it kind of as he should do pre-game, but I don't know, it all feels a little bit, and maybe I'm talking myself into this because I'm a little bit biased, but like I don't know, I feel like look, they're a good side and he's a good manager, but there's a little bit of a kind of a frailty to it all. Like, it could come unstuck quicker than I think people think.
Yeah.
When you look at the profile of their
it all depends on like the next run result. They were unbeaten, so it was positive. But if you're looking at the actual games, you're like, you have the opinion we do.
Yeah.
If it now turns sour after losing convincingly the North London derby, then the narrative will flip completely, and all these good performances will now be they'll be changed to go, well, they got lucky in those when they were doing well. So Spurs is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Just speaking about the game, I could not get over Emerson's red card. I was shocked that even the pundits were saying it was a red card.
This is one of those.
Very little force behind it, and it's not like it's like I don't know how many times I've seen a version of that sort of foul.
Okay.
And it's a yellow card at most.
So I have some thoughts on it.
Yeah, go on. No, go for it, mate.
No, you are at the ground. You're the Arsenal fan here.
All I was going to say, because I've spoken on this podcast before about games being refereed kind of within the context of like the match that's being played. It's a derby, like challenges go in like that. It's a silly tackle. It's lazy. It's definitely a yellow card. Definitely. It's one of those where you go, if he doesn't get sent off, he's not going to get sent off by VAR. But you go, he's quite lucky. He's clumsy.
I thought it should have been overturned. I thought it was clear and obvious it wasn't a red card.
Look, I wouldn't have. Had he not been given it, I certainly wouldn't have been demanding it. I think once they get given, there's a high bar to overturn them.
Yeah.
I just think it's one of those. He's been chasing the ball all game, and he's just quite clumsy. It just looks clumsy.
Like you said, within the context of the game, like there were so many challenges that were just let go on.
Yeah.
It really didn't fit in at all.
No, I'm not complaining though.
This is the one thing about they're changing. It need to be a higher threshold of physicality for fouls to be given now and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily disagree with that idea that you're trying to let the game let it flow and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
My issue is that it's more likely there'll be inconsistencies if there are less definitive rules on what is a foul. And this is case in point, is like, it's literally down to the ref's interpretation, but within the game there's going to be more inconsistencies. There's going to be fouls given because the referee didn't quite see it, and then there's not. Whereas whenever it's a harsher, lower threshold for physicality, it's easier to have a consistency with what is a foul.
Yeah,
I like that's my main issue with it. And then if you listen to second captains, like me and Ali do, and hear Ken early, who makes a good point. Like the play all the great technical, small, diminutive players like Bernardo Silva and like Jack Grealish and stuff like that. They wouldn't have existed years ago, but because of you just get chopped down and you constantly had to be protecting yourself instead of thinking about going forward and driving.
mm-hmm.
And it's led to a more progressive game and that sort of thing. So I'm not. I thought I would be a fan of let it flow and the sort of like as James Alcott would say, get up rule.
Yeah.
There's some things I like it for, but I don't think it. I don't like the inconsistency. Is the thing I dislike the most.
Yeah.
About the new rules.
A few weeks ago, we had a whole like 20 minutes about referees in general, and like a huge rant from the three of us. I suppose that was at the time.
I wasn't on that.
So
one,
I'm not gonna.
So
I'm not gonna get into the like criticizing referees and stuff. But I think they made a mistake with and like that sort of announcement of making the threshold higher, because there's no threshold anyways. Like that's something that's completely subjective and dependent on the opinion of referees, and that will always be the case, by the way, because football is a game that is constantly going unless there's a foul or there's the ball goes out of play or there's a goal. Yeah. But as long as the ball is in play, it is in play. It's being passed foot to foot. People are dribbling, so there's like natural stoppages. In terms of refereeing for the context of the game, that's not something I support, because that's also subjective, and you have to apply the rules regardless, in my opinion, whether it's in the first minute, whether it's the last minute, it's a North London derby, it's Liverpool, Bournemouth.
No, I hear
you. But as this decision itself goes, I completely hear what Fergal's saying about it's a yellow. That was the co-commentary team at NBC's, like they were, why is it just not a yellow?
They were all saying it, weren't they, afterwards?
Yeah, why is it just not a yellow? I see why he gave a red card, and I think it's down to his opinion too, because he saw Martinelli was dribbling nowhere. He was going backwards. Emerson Royale just stomped at his foot, no attempt to get the ball whatsoever, on his standing foot while his toe was pointing to the ground. So a little bit more force, and his ankle would have been broken. So I think from the danger aspect of it, I get it.
But there wasn't that force. There really wasn't that much force in it.
That's the subjective part. That's the subjective part.
The
and
force
it's down
is
to
quite,
the opinion.
You can measure force, and it's quite easy to there's probably when they do test crash dummies and all, they know the force takes, like break bones, and they could measure that. So it's like, although they haven't measured there, you can see it. You know what even the angle he came. It was like a vertical motion. Like it was literally standing on, like it was he caught it his calf, came down on his foot. I don't know how many times I've seen it. I could not get over it. It was a red card. I was delighted because it means Matt Doherty's going to get in the team.
Yeah,
and he's terrible. Good God, they don't. I mean, you can see why he's not been playing when he come on for the last 15 minutes. My goodness me.
He'll get back up to speed. He wasn't great with Ireland either. International break, but he'll get.
That's I'm okay with the red card. I would have been absolutely.
Yeah, I'm okay with it as well, man. Give Spurs red cards every game. Just keep doing it. Like that's refereeing. I'll never complain about it.
Anthony Taylor as well. Again.
Yeah, he was just making up for the red card he should have given Romero back in August. So can't argue with that one.
Okay. The last one, the big one, the most goals, the biggest hammering. Manchester City 6, Manchester United 3. Erling Haaland with a hat-trick of hat-tricks, on pace to score 60 Premier League goals, which is probably not going to happen. Well, is it going to happen? Is it not?
Yeah, a double hat-trick in this game. Yeah.
Double hat-trick. But Man United did manage to score 3 at the end. some abysmal showing defensively by United, I have to say. The team selection was incredible not to include Casemiro and play Scott McTominay as his sole defensive midfielder. What's like they had 4 wins in a row and then this. What's going on?
Well, no, but I don't think it's that surprising when you actually they had 4 wins in a row, but you got to look at the context within each game, right? Liverpool were dreadful and were missing players and have been poor all season, as you've already discussed.
Yes.
Southampton, they won 1-0, but they could have easily lost 1-0. It was one of those games where first goal wins and you wouldn't have complained either way. It was just a tight game. Leicester are poor, and then the Arsenal game, which is probably the most interesting one there. It was. I'm not going to say similar to today's game, but I could see similarities in that City just have better players in the final third that make the pass, finish the goal. In that game against Man United, we got to the edge of the box so many times and cocked it up with the final action. On another day, it wasn't like they were just preventing us getting into dangerous positions and defending really well. They were sat deep and we just didn't execute, and they stole the first goal and stole goals on the counter. So I'm not going to say I expected them to concede 6. But what I will say is I don't think they've been as defensively solid as what they'll have you believe. They've sat very deep. It's well documented they've played the deepest line in the Premier League this season so far. Now, part of that is because of who they've played. But part of it is also because their defenders aren't great. And let's be honest, Eriksen and Fernandes are not very good defensively. They don't track runners. You watch the first goal, Eriksen just completely switches off.
Oh, yeah.
He shouldn't be marking Haaland on the second goal from the corner. So maybe I don't... But it's his man.
At least give him a nudge.
At
least make him uncomfortable.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I just don't think that they're anywhere near the finished article yet, and City obviously are. So it isn't that surprising to me that City ended up 3 goals better today. I know it was 6-1 at one point, but they are just way, way, way ahead of where Man United are, and showed that in some style today. I mean, I didn't expect anything less, to be honest.
Yeah, Casemiro maybe didn't start because of the South American internationals ending so late, and
I think he'll be in now. I think
McTominay's the best player now.
Well, I think this will be kind of like the Brentford game where they lost heavily and then he just kind of made a few changes, and I think this will be similar where he found something that's worked for a few games. I think that's what he's going to have to do this season, is kind of stumble across short-term solutions, because he hasn't got the players at this point to implement a style that will work every week. I think it's literally just going to be patching things up, trying to find solutions on the day, and then as soon as something stops working, trying something else. I think he's going to have to tinker quite a bit, because simply put, at this moment in time, they don't have the players to play expansive football. They can't press from the front. They don't keep the ball. I mean, the worst part about it today, and their defending was awful, but their use of the ball was shocking. When you look at Man City's team, there was chances to get at that Man City defence and midfield when you consider Rodri wasn't playing, Laporte wasn't playing, Stones wasn't playing, Diaz wasn't playing. It's probably the weakest back 6 that Man City will field all season. And yet Man United's use of the ball was awful. Genuinely horrendous.
Although, I have to say, Akanji, awesome today. Awesome. The
he looks good.
But gets out of the breaks a couple of defensive lines for Man. Well, it's Man United. Of course their defensive performance was dreadful, but the way he managed to carry it out and actually start attacks multiple times was fantastic, in my opinion. I've been impressed. So far.
Well, I mean, it just looks like another good signing for Man City.
Although it comes from the Bundesliga, from Borussia Dortmund, and
and I was
not anymore
when they sold him as well. There was Dortmund fans that wanted rid of him. It wasn't. I'm not saying he's a bad player there, but they didn't seem particularly sorry to see him go. And
I didn't. I got that vibe as well. Absolutely.
Look, Man City are good. Man City are going to win the league. I mean, there's nothing new at this point. We know what they are. We know what Haaland is. But it was a great look. They scored 6 goals. That's the thing this season. What I will say is they are conceding goals. Okay, maybe it shouldn't have been 3 today, but they are conceding goals. They're scoring 3+ every game, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
First team to do, it was I think it was 3 consecutive goals at home or not for I think it's their 8th game.
Yeah,
Eighth
that's
game
the
in
8th
a
game in a
row.
row. There's three. They've scored 3 or more, mostly more, at home.
Goals
and,
at home. Yeah.
and it was first time since like Spurs.
Spurs in the 60s.
Yeah.
Back when they used to win the league. That one
Yeah.
time in 61. Yeah.
That one time 60 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also wanted to give a mention to the third goal. Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland on the same team is cheating. Never do it again. So the Premier League needs to do something about this and force City to sell someone.
They shouldn't be allowed to field them at the same time. That's what I think.
That should be, it has to be
They
stipulation.
should do like they should make like Haaland and De Bruyne have to do like like 3-legged race sort of thing. So tie their two feet together, something like that.
Well, Haaland's gonna win. He's just gonna jump yeah.
I mean,
he's gonna dive. Yeah. He has a lot more power. Graham Lassell, I think it was saying in co-commentary today, if you tie Haaland's feet together, he probably would score headers.
He's found this kind of newfound because I never thought he was that good in the air. I certainly didn't have, not because he's small or anything, but like
he wasn't fantastic.
I've rarely seen.
But this season, he looks like he's sort of taken it to a new level with a couple of the headers he scored. He looks, he just looks the complete package, and I hate to see it, to be honest, but it is pretty scary. He's already scored more goals than Lacazette managed in his best ever season at Arsenal after 8 games. 8 games. It's just scary.
He's on pace to score 60 goals.
60
goals.
And he's on course to break Alan Shearer's record in February 2027.
Yeah, he'll be sweating bullets, old Al.
Wow. Okay. Last thing before we go.
Rather him than Kane.
He's Erling Haaland has one of the hat-tricks. Phil Foden had the other. There's another short king that had it's a great week for short kings. Another short king had a hat-trick at Anfield, of course. Leandro Trossard, first hat-trick at Anfield by an opposition since 2009, according to beIN Sports and my dad, as we mentioned at the start.
Wait, since when?
Short king? Since 2009.
And do you know who that was?
Arshavin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Bit of trivia.
Yes. Who out of the two? Who's taking it?
For what, short king of the week?
I think we're both agreeing. I don't think there's any other contenders.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the two, but who? It has to be one.
Oh, it's got to be Trossard simply because.
Oh, who was the other one?
The Foden got Foden as well.
Foden. Oh, yeah.
But they would have won that game anyway. They spanked them. Like they had Haaland scored a hat trick as well. Like, don't get me wrong, great effort to get a hat trick, but he only matched the achievement of his teammate. Whereas Leandro Trossard, I mean, what a player! What a player! I mean,
he's so good.
What's the thing he does?
I can't say I was as
eyelids, actually.
I wasn't as like complimentary towards him when he was doing it, having opened the scoring against Arsenal last season at the Emirates. I was probably shouting some obscenities at him. But he's a pretty good player. Like he's a neat little technician, and he knows where the goal is. I like him.
Neat little technician. On that note,
he's one of the players who I don't think he'll ever. This might come back to bite me, but I don't think he'll ever be amazing. I feel like he should stay at like a Brighton sort of level, like and be a big fish in a small pond sort of thing. Like I feel like he seems like one of these players. If he went to a top club, it would sort of ruin him. It'd only ever be a squad player, and it wouldn't quite go his way. So I think that's the only thing about Trossard, but he is good.
He's great. Neat little technician. That's a new one I've not heard before. On that note, we're gonna end our neat little episode there. It's roughly 45 minutes long. Wow,
that's quick by our standards.
It is quick, but I have to go because I do have a football manager.
Tell them that for Ali. What'd you tell them that for? You should have just made out like we're professionals and we're like becoming more slick at this.
Well, people are going to see the YouTube thumbnail. 45 minutes. It's not a secret. The
I know, but you don't have to tell them why we're getting to the end and.
But in fairness, Harry, they're probably all thinking, "What a weekend of football! How are they only doing a 45-minute episode when previously we've dragged out an international break one for an hour and a half?"
Yeah,
dragged out. No, well, because this weekend. Okay, I'll tell you what.
Haaland for 45 minutes.
I'll tell you what. There's I do want to give a mention to some results around the world because it was a really interesting weekend. Let's do a quick little Tabs on Tammy. His AS Roma side. He started on the bench. His AS Roma side won 2-1 away at Inter, who are struggling this season. Compared to last. And you thought, Lukaku coming back, he scored on his first game, assisted by Lautaro, and everything's good and rosy again. No, I think they're not challenging for the league title at the minute. Although that might change, of course. It is Serie A. It's one of the more unpredictable leagues in terms of all of the top seven.
Exciting again this year.
Yeah, but Inter are 8th, 8 points from top. Roma now Napoli are top. Napoli are top, equal with Atalanta. 3 points behind are Lazio and Milan, and then Udinese at 5th.
Do you know what? Give a mention to Udinese. Good friend of mine, Italian fella. He supports them, and he had us watch one of their games. I think it was the weekend.
Is the surname Pozzo? Is it?
Is it what?
Surname
is
Pozzo?
the surname Pozzo?
Pozzo? No. They're in Watford, don't they? No, it was the weekend. All the games were postponed for the state funeral. And we watched one of their games. We won 2-1. I mean, I was taking such notice of it. I can't even remember who they were playing, but they won 2-1. The opposition got a red card. But they're having a good season. Having a cheeky little good season.
They were playing against. Did they win 3-1 against Sassuolo?
3-1. There you go. I didn't even remember the score.
3. Yeah, there you go. 3-1 against Sassuolo.
Paying such good attention to it.
But you should watch it. Season. Who's in 9th, guys? Who's in 9th? After Juventus. 8 matches play, as anyone? Juventus. Exactly.
Yeah.
Correct.
They're struggling. But they can't sack him, can they? They're skint.
They are skint, and you love to see it. But Tammy Abraham in that Roma game, to come back to it, came on and missed a really weird chance. Like, it was 1-on-1. The defender, to be fair to him, I think it was Skriniar, like, kept backing off in such a way that Tammy always wanted to find the shooting angle and quite couldn't, because if he went either way, Skriniar's body position was, okay, I'm going to throw my body this way or that way, regardless. Yeah. He ended up just dragging it wide in a weird way. But I think, like, if he had faked one way and go the other, Skriniar would have fell on his back.
Why he's not getting a minute for England, Tammy Abraham? That's why he's out of favour.
Probably. Because
Dybala's looking great, though.
Dybala's goal was immense. That finish is so underrated. He scored off the volley with his weaker foot right in the top corner. It's great.
And I love the fact Mourinho's back and he's charismatic again. He's in a good mood, and it's like he's just pure entertainment. Like,
good league for him to manage in, I think, at this stage in his career.
Roma's a great team as well.
And a good club there,
always underdogs, and never been one of the big teams in one. Not one of them. It's not. Sorry, I should reword that, because they are a big team in Italy, but never been one of the big title winners all the time.
Yeah.
And they've and so a good underdog. So he loves a team that's, everything's against them, and they're putting together a nice wee side. And Chris Smalling with the winner, like, maybe he should be on the plane.
Yeah, true. Maybe. He had a great game, Smalling. In another weird little league table order, I suppose. Union Berlin in first in the Bundesliga. Freiburg, then Bayern, then Dortmund. Dortmund lost against Köln, or Cologne, I think it's
Cologne
in English.
Cologne.
Yeah. Lost 3-2. They were 3-1 down at one point. So that's a weird little one as well. If they'd won, they would have gone top, Borussia Dortmund. But they're letting the Bundesliga down. Bayern are just going to win it again, aren't they? Yeah, it's but a weird little start.
Union Berlin, man.
4 games without a win.
Berlin.
Hey, Jordan Pifok is at Union Berlin, so it would be in my best interests to see him win. Okay. And to end it, Philadelphia Union lost against Charlotte FC 4-0 last night.
You should have got that out of the way early.
Yeah.
You've ended the podcast on a somber note.
I can't believe they let a woman beat them. Charlotte's madness.
It was played with NFL lines as well, because there was Carolina Panthers who play in the same stadium as Charlotte FC. Were supposed to play in Florida, and then their game got moved because of the hurricanes that were happening here. Well, not here, down in Florida. It was moved to Charlotte, so they had to draw the NFL lines before the MLS game.
Did they play with the NFL posts?
They played with the NFL.
Just kind of under the
no, not the posts.
in the small part of the goal.
No, just the lines, but it looked very high school. It did. That was a weird little one. But on that note, please don't have as bad a week as I did. Union losing 4-0, Liverpool drawing 3-3 and being mid-table shambles, and the US men's national team having no hope of doing anything respectable at the World Cup. So have a better week than I did.
There's always a hope, Ali. They are in England's group.
Yeah.
This is just gonna end 2-0 England. Just book it from now. Yeah, we're far from doing anything. I think we're gonna finish 4th on maybe 1 point against Iran, but let's talk about that later. Thank you guys, appreciate
Pleasure,
it.
mate.
Have a better week than me, and one last shout out to FM Community Charity. Awesome week. Hope to be involved again. Hope to do it again. Thanks to everyone for your generosity over the week. Appreciate you all. But we'll see you this time next week, unless we have as bad a week as my teams. Okay? Bye.